Is it worth it to do Hallowed Sepulchre? Short answer, no. Long answer, also no. Let's get into why. First of all, if you don't know what Hallowed Sepulchre is, I don't know what you're doing in this video. You should probably go and check out what it actually is. But if you are aware of what it is, why shouldn't you do it then? Well, first of all, let me talk a bit about my expertise. I have over 300 KC, and I've spent quite a long time in this fucking minigame, truth be fucking told. And overall, anecdotally speaking, I, I, I didn't have a good time. Look, I think that the minigame has its merits, for sure, and I'll touch on them, by the end. But I think that overall, it's just not a very good minigame. First of all, let's talk about the basics. XP and loot, right? What can you expect to get? How much GP can you expect to get? Pretty right out of the bat, when it comes to the average runs that I was getting, and the average runs that I get is around 7 to 7 minute 30. That's the sort of the range. Sometimes I take 8, 9 minutes, sometimes even like almost 10, like 20, 30 seconds away from the 10-minute mark. But like ultimately my average is around the 7:30 mark, right? With that taken into account, and if I take all the loot, regardless of how long it took me to learn, which is another point that I'm going to talk about, I was getting around 300 to 500k GP per hour. That's not that much, and you might say, oh, but you're doing agility. That's not that much for a minigame that requires your full attention, essentially. The major issue here is that this average doesn't include the ring, mainly because I've gone over 300 KC and I've gotten no fucking ring at this point. The ring currently is 30 mil, and if we value it into my averages, it sort of runs out at 1.2 to 1.5 mil GP per hour. But considering that it takes an average run of 7 minutes and a half for your average run, and this is without looting any other chests, by the way, because I don't. I just run for the grand coffin to loot it and XP and then get out. We're looking at potentially dozens of hours to have a chance of getting a ring, which is just not that good of a money maker at the end of the day. So GP wise, I don't think you should rely on the ring, and if you don't rely on the ring, we're talking 300, 500k XP per hour, right? Not XP, GP per hour, right? XP wise, the XP I was getting was between 55k to 75k. It depended a lot if I was like really tryharding. It depended on the RNG because some paths take longer than others, right? Some paths are faster, some paths are easier, so it's much easier to also optimize them, right? But yeah, look, I don't know how the fuck the wiki says 90k per hour, like 90k XP per hour. I never fucking got that. When I got into this minigame, I thought, oh, okay, so this is what I can expect, this is what I'm gonna get, right? It's almost double RD. Yeah, it takes a while to learn, and, overall, but you get loot, you get almost double the amount of XP. Fucking nope. Like, I just don't understand where Wiki took that. Maybe I just suck at the game, maybe, it's my potato laptop or whatever, but I can't, like, I haven't even touched 80k XP per hour. I probably was high 70s at some points, but I never even touched 80 from at least what I tracked. I might have actually passed 80 and not actually realized it, but still, like, I'm fairly certain I never fucking saw 90. That's for sure. So XP wise, it's actually not that great. I think that XP wise it could be great if you are low level. What I mean by this is if you are on that awkward, I don't have Sears Village unlocked yet, but at the same time, all other sort of rooftops are a bit slow, and I don't really want to grind for Graceful now because I'm gonna grind Sears Village rooftop, so I'm gonna get Graceful eventually, right? I think that floor one for this minigame is level 56 agility. Grinding the level 1, floor 1 of this minigame, you get around similar XP rates from what I got to RD. You get a bit like, you get like something like 40k XP per hour, I think, something along those lines, maybe a bit more. I forget. I know that the XP rates are similar to RD in that aspect, which RD requires level 90, This minigame requires level 56, and sure, a Grandmaster quest, but I mean, it requires level 56. I don't even know if it's actually a Grandmaster to get into the Hallowed Sepulchre, but still, right? There, I think it could be good, but I mean, I don't know why would you torture yourself doing this fucking minigame if you don't even have access to the fucking final floor for, the chance at the ring yet, right? And speaking of, let's actually get into the next point, which is how long it took me to learn. It took me around 20 to 30 hours to actually start getting consistent loots. Like, just imagine you go in, you rush everything, floor 5, Grand Coffin, loot it, get out. It took me around 20 to 30 hours to be able to do that consistently. And what I mean consistently, I do mean consistent, like failing not even 1 in 10, right? So, for example, the first 20 Grand Coffins that I opened, I failed a lot in between, right? In fact, after I got my first one, it took me a couple of tries to get the second one, and then, I got a bit of a roll going until 9, and then I failed a bunch again, and, so it took me around this amount of time to learn. So, remember the 300k to 500k GP per hour? Yeah, that's after you fucking learn the minigame. Which, by the way, you need fucking tile markers for it, because this is the first place in the game I've ever used tile markers. I don't use tile markers for anything else. Well, I mean, nowadays I use them for BA defender role, but still. I don't generally use tile markers for literally anything else, right? This minigame without tile markers sucks. And look, maybe, yeah, it's my fault I didn't watch a guy to, put the tile markers all in place, and I sort of like brute forced it by learning it myself. But I mean, that's kind of part of the fun of the game. If you watch a guide on everything before doing it, it kind of ruins the fun. I mean, take Toa for example, right? Guides didn't come out until like, second day type thing, and I wanted to go into it blind, not know what to expect, not know what to do, because, being a noob is almost part of the fun. Yeah, except in this fucking minigame. There's no fun into fucking trying to figure out how to fucking put tile markers because you have no fucking idea where you can even stand or you can't. Especially the floor looks all the same in this regard, by the way, right? And if I already discussed all of the GP and XP and all of that, now I think it's time to discuss the minigame in of itself. Look, most obstacles here suck. The only good obstacle is the flame wizard, like the wizard that throw out flames, right? Because every single other one is just it sucks. First of all, a lot of these obstacles, the visual cue of the animation coming towards you type thing, doesn't actually coincide with the hitbox. And the problem with that is depending on the servers and your laptop, chances are the hitbox might be completely fucking different from you to another player a lot of the times. So it just makes it really fucking hard to be like, for example, 2 steps behind the sword, like 2 squares behind the sword, and still get it, right? Because the hitbox hasn't fucking updated to be where the sword actually is because of the amount of like animations that are going on and stuff like that, right? Same thing with arrows, where I get hit behind the arrows. Sometimes again 2 squares away. Other times I'm in front of the arrows and I get it, even though I, clearly didn't ever hit the arrows. Ironically, though, when I do actually go through an arrow, I never get it. So it just further really proves my point. And this is like a really serious issue that just needs to be addressed with this minigame, because it kind of fucking sucks. Most of the times you're dodging preemptively, not dodging the thing in of itself. You're dodging the potential of the hitbox just fucking you over, right? And look, overall, teleports are even look. Let's go by actually obstacle. Flame wizards, fine. Lightning wizards, fucking useless. They could be removed. Most of the times they just kill an obstacle, but no one actually tries to dodge them. And trying to dodge them is like super fucking easy because just you click on a square, literally, right? They could be deleted. No one would miss them. Swords could be fun if their fucking hitbox wasn't bullshit. Arrows, kind of fun sometimes. It heavily depends on the RNG patterns of the fucking bowmen that are fucking firing, the statues that are firing the arrows, because sometimes their fucking patterns suck and they're just zigzagging around all over the fucking place and it's really fucking annoying. So it heavily depends. Again, the hitbox of the arrows kind of sucks as well. And then we have the teleports, which yeah, so the teleports. How do I look? Teleports suck. I'm gonna be honest. Teleports is the type of thing that I really wish wasn't in this minigame. Mainly because yellow teleports throw you backwards. Blue teleports move you forwards. The main issue is, whatever teleport you take, you're gonna end up fucked anyway. Mainly because teleports work around 50% of the times when you walk over them, because in reality, for teleports to activate almost 100% of the time, you need to click in the tile where the teleport is. The problem is, the actual hitbox of the teleport is so, like, or the time that the teleport is active is so short that most of the times, even if you click on a teleport, it might have already changed by then. And again, the visual cue doesn't coincide with the actual hitbox. So oftentimes you'll be walking over a teleport, get teleported, and you're like, wait, but it wasn't even lit yet. And it's really fucking annoying. It will tilt the fuck out of you, especially when a teleport just keeps, lighting up and then dying down and then lighting up again, and you just keep continuously getting teleported, and it's like you don't even fucking know why after the fucking times, right? Not to mention that there's no protection against getting teleported either, right? I mean, after getting teleported, there is an immunity against other obstacles like arrows and swords, but not against other teleports, which means that if you step on a teleport and you get teleported, you can step on another right away and another right away and another right away. This can be detrimental if you step on a teleport and then it teleports you to another yellow teleport that just lights up at that moment where you have no reaction time, where it then teleports you back again. So half of the obstacle you just got teleported backwards, and you need to redo half of it just because the game decided, right? Because a lot of these obstacles are on, like, they're not on a pattern, they are purely RNG, and you need to react to them, which is just not good. Mainly because, look, I'm gonna be fucking honest, right? And this minigame has tilted me a fuck ton, and I quit it, like I rage quit the game once because of it. But here's the fucking thing, right? Overall, the walking mechanic is simply not deep enough to warrant such a complex minigame, right? It just isn't. And like, sure, this minigame sort of kind of trains you a bit on the art of walking in the game, but it's not that deep, right? And look, I think that if this had been like the first three floors, I think that the minigame would be fine. I think the minigame would actually even be good, in fact. But floor 4 and 5 are just so bullshit. A lot of the fucking obstacles there aren't even challenging. They're just annoying. They're really just annoying. They're just there to like tag. It's like you're playing one of those like Cat Mario. Remember that fucking browser game that was just meant to fucking piss you off? That's what this fucking like floor 4 and 5 are. They're just there to piss you off. Nothing fucking else, right? They're not challenging. They're not that especially after you do it a couple of times. They're really not challenging. Nothing much is gonna change because again, the mechanic behind it is not deep enough to warrant such a complex minigame. I mean, and when I say complex, I really just mean the amount of stuff the quantity of stuff that is in the minigame, not necessarily that the things within them are actually complex, right? And yeah, I mean, just overall, it really annoys you. And the fact that it's not AFK, so you have to pay full attention all the fucking time, which, then gets it by all of this, by the way, I haven't mentioned a very specific thing, which is the timer. Because, yes, all of these minigames are going to tilt you. But here's the thing, the problem is not so much you failing the obstacles or the obstacles inconveniencing you, even if you have no way of actually doing anything against them. The major issue here is the time. Because if you don't go to the Grand Coffin before the 10-minute mark, you don't get loot. Simple as that. Which is really punishing for new players. As a new player, especially after you get the ring, and you try to go for floor 5 if you have the level, a lot of the times you're not gonna get loot because you're gonna be rushing to the fucking floor 5 to practice it as much as you can, and then you're gonna fail, and you're gonna fail a bunch, right? You're gonna get fucking tilted, and then you're not gonna get any fucking loot for it. Any at all. And when you're learning, by the way, you're not gonna be getting the fucking 60 to 75k XP per hour. You might actually be getting the less XP per hour than, kind of his rooftop, if need be, right? So all in all, it's just like the minigame is just not good, and I think that the timing should just be removed because I don't understand what it's doing there. I know that Jagex sort of wanted a anti, sort of grind mechanic, to make it so people wouldn't grind the thing, but most people that stick with a minigame are able to grind it without any fucking issue. So that mechanic doesn't do anything. New players just get punished by, spending an hour to get to fucking floor 5, and then they're not even able to do it because the timer doesn't allow it. It's just overall so bullshit. It's just not fun, and just remove it, right? Just remove it. And speaking of, I mean, removing the timer is a thing they could do to help out the minigame. Another one is to just fix the hitboxes. I just don't know how possible it is to make them coincide with the visual cues, especially because of how janky the game engine is and stuff like that, right? But yeah, it's not fun. It's really not fun as a result of that. Like, half of my fucking tilts were because, something hits me that clearly didn't. Like, visually speaking, it clearly didn't. Even if I have the fucking indicators on with, like, the green squares that, fucking tell you where the thing actually is, it just, you still get it. And it's fucking annoying, it really. So, like, fix the fucking hitbox, remove timer, and there's another caveat. Just make the Dark Acorn fucking cheaper. Why is a fucking pet transmog 3k marks? Like, that's by far the most expensive thing. I've been doing this minigame from 95 to 99, right? This is before. This is before. This is after I already bought the ring and had the marks to buy the ring. So I'm not even factoring in that XP, right? I'm not even factoring in that time. You know, it's taken me since 95 to 99, which I don't have yet, but I will soonish, to get 3k marks. And even by the 99 mark, I might not actually have 3k marks, and I might actually have to grind out some more of it. So it's just lower the fucking price. Just lower the fucking price. So yeah, these are the three things that you could do to improve the minigame. Do I think Shagex are gonna do it? One, they could. Another one is actually pretty easy. The third one, which is the most important one, which is the fixing the hitboxes issue. I'm not sure they're gonna ever do it because of just how again, like, the game engine is somewhat janky, so I don't think that it's possible to do. If it is, that should be like priority number one to actually make this minigame actually like decent for people. So yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, I gave you the answer at the beginning, but should you do this minigame? Personally speaking, I don't think so. Unless you're going for log, unless you still need to like learn how to, the inner workings of walking, which again is not that hard. If you do like CG and whatnot, you will grasp them just fine. I just, unless you're those two things, I just don't really think that you should learn the minigame. Because I think the problem is not even doing the minigame from time to time. I think that, sometimes for like an hour it's fun to like do 5kc of it or whatever, but like the major issue is learning it, learning the minigame, because the bar of entry is just so high that to me just doesn't make it worth it, right? Again, it took me around 20 to 30 hours to even get consistent loot at floor 5. The vast majority of players are not going to stick to that. The vast majority of players are going to fucking train agility to level 70 and then fucking drop the skill from how fucking useless it is. So yeah, overall, that those are my thoughts. So yeah, that's it.